This is not really happening. You bet your life it is. Hi guys, so I wanted to do a quick video today about grief. The holidays are coming up, so I don't know if I'll get a chance to do a video while the kids are home and running around. So I thought I'd take a few minutes today to just put some ideas out there for anyone who's going through it. Hopefully this can help a little bit, and just go through sort of my experience. So I'm almost 4 years down the road of grief, and it really comes in waves, I've found. So the minute you think that you have hit the bottom of the grief ocean, and you surely got to be coming back up to the surface, it just feels like you can't breathe. Usually I've found another wave will come and push my ass right back down to the bottom again. It really is like waves come over you. Like one day you think you're doing so well, and the next day you can hardly get out of bed. It's that emotional and that much of a roller coaster. And I just want to say something about putting a hierarchy on grief. So if someone's lost a husband or a best friend or a cousin, sister, mother, grandparent, there's no hierarchy to grief. Someone's grief isn't worse because it's their sister or their brother or their cousin. Everyone's relationships are so individual and different that it depends on you and your relationship with that person. It could be a best friend you've had for 6 months, and that could just devastate you and wipe you out, and you've only known that person 6 months. It depends on the quality of the relationship and the bond and connection you have with that person. So I just want to put that out there so people don't feel like, oh well, it was someone I didn't know that well or someone I didn't know that long. Really, it doesn't have a lot to do with it. It is such an individual thing, and all our relationships are individual, but at the end of the day, all our pain's the same. So someone going through grief, is aching, and it is a heartache. It's a literal heartache. That's not just a term someone's coined. It is actually, you ache, you physically ache, it hurts, you've lost a part of you. So just understand that and be gentle with yourself and be understanding with yourself. And you know what, people don't have to understand it. That's what I used to worry about is, well, it's been a year, I should be over it now, I shouldn't post something on Facebook because it's been a year. And we've actually had people say that. My mother's had someone say that to her, and it was actually a doctor. Well, that was over a year ago. Well, yes, it was over a year ago, and it's very real today as it was on the day it happened. Because some days you feel that you're coping and it's fine, and other days you are right back in that place. And it doesn't have to be an anniversary. It can be, and that'll trigger you, but it can just be a normal day, and you've got no reason or explanation, and that's the way it is. And for someone to think it is bad enough, but to actually say it to a grieving parent, oh, well, your son died over a year ago. I mean, that is someone that has no clue, and really, I can't waste time with people like that. That's ridiculous. He's lucky I wasn't there because, honestly, I have no time for that. So anyway, some of the things I found on the worst days, having children, I have to go on, and just some things that when I was thinking back through to do the clip of how did I cope back then, when it was all fresh and happening, and I had babies and toddlers at the time, so there's not much escape. I do remember on kindy days when my daughter would go to kindy and my son would have a nap, that would be my time to connect with my brother, and I think she went 2 or 3 days a week. So during the week, if I was having a tough time, I would just try to subside it or put it out of my mind or put it in a box. And then when she was at daycare and my son was having his nap, that's when I would let the box open. I was by myself And if I felt like I had to cry and bawl like a baby, then that's what I'd do. If I felt that I had to just talk to him, meditate, write a letter, go through photos, sometimes just the release of actually crying your eyes out just makes your soul feel lighter again. So I just encourage you, if you feel that way, we can't sit around crying all day with children. We just can't. But I do suggest that if you have to do it, because I would do it in front of my children, and they would learn after the first, couple of days. Oh, Mummy's crying because she misses Uncle. And even now, if I'm crying, my son will come up. I miss him too, Mummy. And I could be crying about something else, but it's sort of healthy for them to see that you cry because you're sad and you're missing that person. However, you go on. Your life goes on. You'll get up and you'll make them lunch. Sit down on the floor and play with them. Do something to get your mind off it a little bit. And then, as I say, put that time aside for yourself where you're on your own and you can do whatever you feel you need to do to get through it. I also had grief counselling for over 12 months, so that there's no shame in that. And I had the most amazing grief counsellor. She had lost her son, so she had a daughter, so she knew where I was coming from. And she also believed in the metaphysical and afterlife and stuff like that. So that was awesome to have someone of a like mind. And I had that for over 12 months. So if you have to do that, and you don't have to go anywhere, you can do it over the phone. But you've got to do what you've got to do to keep going. So that they were two things, is putting the time aside for me to actually connect and feel that I was getting the time to connect with him by myself, and grief counselling were two major things that helped. Another thing was, don't feel guilty. If you find yourself happy or laughing with your children, I felt terrible when I realised I was laughing. How dare I laugh? How could I laugh? Like, oh my goodness. But you can, and they would want you to. That was the other thing that helped. My grief counsellor was like, he standing there with you, he would be horrified to think that you wouldn't play with your children or laugh with your children or enjoy yourself because he's gone. So don't feel guilty about it, and don't worry about what people think. You just worry about your family, yourself, and get you through it, because there's no guilt in it. Just because you're laughing with your children doesn't mean you are any less devastated about the passing of your loved one. So just be kind to yourself, and just realise you will have ups and downs and good days and bad days, and just try and take some quiet time to connect with them and talk to them, whether it's in your head or out loud, whether you think that they're listening or they're not, whether you think you're getting a response or you're not. The more you do it, the better you get, the better the connection gets. And it's really valuable to have that connection, because you've had that connection with someone for so long. And then it's gone, and it is physically gone, but it's not emotionally and spiritually gone. And it's love. You can't deny love. Love doesn't just vanish. The person might not have their body, but the love doesn't vanish. So keep the connection strong. And it's interesting to watch children grieve, because they will sit down and be really sad and cry for like 10 minutes, and then they'll jump up and they'll play and they'll laugh and they'll skip around and they'll have a grand time, and then it'll hit them again. And that's what I'm talking about, waves. And we need to, as adults, accept that is what grief is. You're not going to be sitting crying for 24 hours 7 days a week for the rest of your life, but it's going to hit you at points in your life, and it might be triggered from an anniversary or something, a song, but it might not, and that's okay. You just have to go with it, and go with every day, go with your emotions, because the more you suppress them, the more they're going to fester. And, there's all these different stages of grief people talk about, anger, all those different things, and you need to go through them to get rid of them and move past them. And you can go through them 3 or 4 times. Like, I still find days I'm going through it, disbelief, You know, you're looking for them, you're looking for signs, anything that could be a sign. And it's natural and it's okay. So just know that, and know that, you know, not everyone's going to understand, and that's okay. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone either. People that haven't felt this kind of immense pain and devastation, they can't understand it. They can try, and that's nice, but they can't actually understand it. But I remember one point I was going through guilt because I was just like, did he know? Did he know how much we love him and how much he means to us? And my grief counsellor said to me, well, of course he knew. All the little things you do told him you knew. You know, if he was here right now, what would you do differently? And I said, well, I don't know. I would, you know, tell him I love him. I'd hug him. I'd kiss him. And she said, but if you did that every time you saw him, because especially not knowing he was going to pass, that'd be really weird for a sister. You know, think about it. Sisters and brothers don't act like that. And that sort of made me laugh and made me think, well, if, you know, I did tell him I loved him. Luckily I did, and he knew that, and I know he knew that, but you do question and go through it in your head. So just know that, you know, you might think this now, but go back to the time, and if you'd have acted that way and done those things, they probably would have looked at you as if you had gone mad. So you can do it now. You can tell them now. And I know they can hear you, and I hope if you're grieving and you've lost someone, I hope you know that too. And I hope if you don't, you come to a place where you really do in your core know that. So they probably are my three biggest things is, if you need grief counselling, get it. Be kind to yourself and put yourself time aside to connect with them, however that might be for you. It might be, if you used to like riding bikes, go and ride your bike because you feel you're connected with them. If it, you know, was certain music, put the music on and let yourself cry. It's a release, and once you get it out, you do feel a little bit lighter and a little bit more connected, hopefully. And, you know, if you've got children, just explain to them that you're crying because you're sad and you miss that person. But it's okay, and they're okay, and you're still mummy or daddy or auntie or grandma, and you're still there for them, and you're still going to play with them and laugh with them. But sometimes you're going to be sad, and it's okay. It's not something to be frightened of. So I hope that helps. It's a little bit rushed today, and I haven't got all my thoughts in order because the holidays are coming up, and I just didn't think I'd get a chance to make one. So I hope that has helped in some way. Take what you can from it. If some things don't resonate, that's fine. But be kind to yourself, and it's okay. The way you feel is okay. Let yourself feel it. Go through the emotions, and you do feel lighter and as though you can breathe on the other side of it. And I want to say thank you to all the likers on the page. I think we've got over 350 now. So please make sure you go and subscribe to the YouTube channel, because there is not that many subscribers on the YouTube channel yet. So make sure you pop on over and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.